right, good evening, everyone. It's time for us to get started. So if you will find your way to your table, we are going to kick off our evening with a couple of just special beginnings for our time together. My name is Kayla Curry, and I have the privilege of being the board of our Elevate Board of Directors this year, and it is my honor to get to welcome you here to a very special evening. As we begin tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce a couple of gentlemen, and if they'll make their way to the stage to get us started. The first is Steve Gadd, who is Floyd's father-in-law. Mr. Gadd is the pastor of the Pleasant View Missionary Baptist Church in Sunbright, Tennessee, and he will give our invocation this evening. I also want to introduce John Lassiter. He'll make his way to the stage. John works for the Metro Nashville County Clerk's Office. He is a longtime friend of Floyd's, and he will be leading us in the pledge this evening. So, gentlemen, Mr. Gadd, you'll begin.
If you bow your heads for just a minute. Merciful and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for another opportunity, Lord, to serve you, Lord, in whatever way you give us to do so. Lord, we thank you for each and every one that's come this way tonight, Lord. We ask you, Lord, to bless them. Lord, watch over them, Lord, when they travel here to there. Lord, most of all, we just want to thank you for the opportunity, Lord. And we ask thy blessings upon this food, Lord, that the strength it gives us we might do thy will and thy way. And we thank you, Lord, and thy blessed and holy name we ask these things. For thy name's sake and for our help. Amen.
John, if you'll lead us in the pledge, please.
Hello. If everybody could stand up real quickly, Floyd. I just want to say we'd be here all night if I were to try and describe how important you are to me. So, I know that everybody feels the same way. And you, your importance is very great to me. Let's hopefully I get this right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, John. Everyone, please enjoy your dinner. Our program will begin at approximately 7:20. Well, good morning, or good evening. Why don't we need to say it the right way? Good evening, everyone. Again, I hope you've enjoyed your dinner. Isn't it delicious? A delicious meal tonight. So we want to thank our friends here at Gaylord Springs. So we are about to transition in our evening to really the whole reason why we're here, and that is to spend some time honoring a very special friend. Before we do that this evening, though, we do have some special guests here that we want to make sure to recognize. So with us in attendance tonight is Brenda Wynn, our Davidson County Clerk. If you'll stand up, thank you for being here. Councilmember Erin Evans. Erin, if you will wave, stand up for us. We're so glad she's here as well. And Berkeley Allen. Where is Berkeley? There we go. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you. So I have the honor of introducing our Master of Ceremonies this evening. Leland Statham is the Chief Meteorologist for News Channel 5. And in addition to seeing his wonderful face every morning, early, welcoming our day, he is also the co-host of Talk of the Town, which is the station's top-rated daytime show. Leland, I think you've been there for 30 years, celebrating 30 years, so he's definitely a friend of Nashville, and he is a friend of ours. And incidentally, he happens to be Floyd's favorite weatherman. I don't know how that worked out, but I think it did. So we are so thrilled to have Leland here tonight. I want to hand the program over to you, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. It is an honor to be here. My wife and I, we're here, so we appreciate this to Elevate. And the Floyd, thank you for asking me to be here to be a part of your special night. And as we always say, especially in church, it's great to be able to give folks their flowers while they're alive. They can smell them and that they can hear them. So it is fantastic that you all are doing this. But on behalf of the Elevate Board and alumni, I do want to thank you all for coming out to honor Floyd tonight. He is an alumni, he is a former board chair, and a long-time supporter of Elevate. They were telling me, I guess what, you were part of the second class of Elevate. So go ahead, yeah, give that a big hand. Most of you all know this, but for those who don't, Elevate aligns businesses and community leaders to learn, interact, and engage with the Donaldson, Hermitage, Old Hickory, Cityside, and surrounding communities. Program participants benefit from leadership training, skill, and relationship building, as well as networking opportunities that will create leaders for a lifetime. Elevate is forever grateful for Floyd's support and presence with this organization and in the community. Elevate is just one of Floyd's continuing legacies in the Donaldson, Hermitage, Old Hickory community, and tonight we're gonna learn a lot about that, all right? They've been sharing just a couple of stories already tonight, so you will learn much more about him. But before we get started, I do want to introduce you all to Floyd's family. First up, Floyd's wife, Brenda. Brenda, if you will, stand. Floyd's son, Matthew and Neil. And you saw him earlier with the invocation, Floyd's father and mother-in-law, Steve and Rita Gadd. All right, so y'all ready to get this party started? All right, so at this point, we're going to ask Floyd to come to the stage. We're also going to welcome, and you know this has got to be a little bit juicy here because the first interview part of this process is going to come with Brenda here. She's going to come up to talk family and friends, but you all know Brenda also as well as she is the president of Rethink Public Strategies and a community advocate on many social issues. And it's just one of these social justices that Floyd brought her and Floyd together over a decade ago. So while they decide program chair here, y'all ready? All right.
Ready.
No cheating with notes.
I got notes.
No.
I got notes.
Thank you for calling them out, Leon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm going to turn it over to you all, and we'll see you here in a moment. But look forward to hearing all about you.
Have your dessert and enjoy.
I'm going to go have my dessert, yes.
And also, it's good to see Berthina, our school board member here. Okay, so I'm incredibly excited. Dean, you're going to keep me on time because I have a whole lot of questions and then wanted to open it up to a couple special tables, but I'm trying to kind of keep it focused. So, all right, so Floyd, first of all, it's really an honor for me to be here in the seat with you. So tell us, so let's get started talking about your family and family history. So tell us a little bit about, I'm sure everyone in here is incredibly familiar with the name Shechter. But if you're not, will you talk a little bit about you, where you've come from and your family, and tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Thank you.
Are you on?
Hey, you good? No?
Oh, we turned it off while we were eating. That was probably nice.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. First of all, let me say that I am humbled to be with you tonight. Thank you all for the honor and the privilege of being here and sharing a little bit of my life with you. I came to the community as an adult. I was 42 years old when I first really invested into the Donaldson community. But I started 42 years before that. My surname, Shechter, is an Ellis Island name. My 4 grandparents came to this country, 3 from the Ukraine and 1 from Poland. None of my 4 grandparents spoke English. None of them ever obtained a high school diploma, let alone a college degree. They were people who knew how to survive, and they did whatever they had to do to survive. And because of their legacy, Minnie and Herman, Saul and Sonia, it's because of them I'm here. And when Saul and Sonia came to Ellis Island, they didn't speak English. So when they came and went through immigration, it was common in those days, in the post-World War I, between the 2 world wars, in the late teens, it was common to ask, where are you from and what did you do or your family do? And most folks in the room know I'm of a Jewish heritage, and my family name is named after one of my ancestors I'll never know, who was a ritual slaughterer or a kosher butcher, and in Hebrew the word is Shechter. And they pronounced that for the man in Ellis Island, and on the paper it was written Shechter. And if you were in New York, you'd meet Shechters or Schechtermans. People don't spell the name the same way we do, but they all got the name the same way from an immigration officer on Ellis Island. My grandparents were wonderful people, and I'll tell you a little more about their lives later. Dad was born and raised in Chicago. His older brother was born in the Ukraine and came as a child with his parents. When Dad graduated high school, it was 1944, and there was a war going on. Mom was a couple years behind Dad. They didn't know each other then. And he was drafted in 1944, and he was a physically large man. He stood 6'2" and a little change, and in 1944, that was a big human being. And he was assigned and was trained to become one of Douglas MacArthur's personal bodyguards. And he went into Iwo Jima and Japan with Douglas MacArthur, stood guard outside the Japanese parliament, died at 66 of prostate cancer that I believe was caused by exposure to nuclear radiation when he was in the service. He never told me what he did in the service. When my mom passed, I found his discharge papers, and that's where it says what he did. And I learned that story just 3 years ago when Mom passed away at the age of 90. I was raised in a very humble beginning. We lived in a 4-flat, 600 square feet, 4 of us, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, kitchen, and a living room. And when I was 5, my parents bought this palatial home that was 1,400 square feet. And I thought, you know, Dad and Mom must have made it. They couldn't afford furniture. We had bedroom furniture only in that new house. But very, very wonderful background. And Dad, when he got out of the service, went to college at the University of Illinois, and that's where he met Mom. And they both were there on scholarship, and the first of their families to go to college.
That's very beautiful. And before we began tonight speaking, there have been family photos going on, so I'm sure you can identify some of them with the black and white photos, how beautiful your family and especially your mother. Tell us a little bit more about you as a younger person. I'm sure folks have, if you've ever been in a car or near Floyd, you do know that he drives like he's from Chicago. So there's that. But so tell us a little bit about the younger Floyd, and really kind of growing up and through high school, and then you can get into college if you want to.
We might skip those years.
I'll keep it between the lines a little bit if I need to.
My teenage years were 1967 to 1974, and I've gone back to the future.
And if you've not hugged Floyd lately or seen him, he's reliving some memories.
It was a wonderful time to be alive, as my cousin Cliff will tell you. We had much fun in those days. I was the younger of two boys, and we were only 15 months apart. And I was the little runt of the litter, so to speak, when I was a boy. It was a modest upbringing. Dad drove. He was a traveling salesman, so he drove 3 states in winters in upper Midwest. Mom and I got our driver's licenses and learned to drive the same year. Raising 2 boys in the city of Chicago for 16 years, she had a 2-wheel cart that she would pull and walk 3 blocks to the grocery store, whether it was 85 and sunny in Chicago in July or 30 below and snowing in January in Chicago. And today we sort of take things like driving for granted when we're born, but we didn't in those days. I was, as I said, the runt of the litter, and I always had that wannabe drive of being that little guy, the little engine that could. And that's what drove me through my younger years. I wanted to be the star athlete, even though I didn't necessarily have the physical attributes of a star athlete. But I worked hard enough to become an all-state soccer player in high school and went on to play soccer in college at Washington University. It was a wonderful Midwestern upbringing. I had a crew cut. Until 1966, I was determined I was going to go to Vietnam and fight in the war, and then things changed, and I became a little older and a little wiser, and I'm alive today because of it. My draft number was 300, and they got to 270 in my draft years.
Well, I'm glad you didn't make it there, and I know many have family members that didn't make it back. So appreciate that, you sharing that. So one thing you may not have shared, and folks here probably know this. I know the work you do now and today, but also just a nod from where you've come from. While you were there at school, you also got trained as a lawyer. So if you have met Floyd and you've ever read any contracts with him, he knows what he's talking about. But also both the sons here too are both lawyers. So just really a beautiful legacy of education.
Thank you.
So you prompted a question about us. I don't know. We've got plenty of time after this. So I can give you all the stories of how we met. But we can. But if you want to touch on that, you can. But most of our friends who do know us know that really the right time and planets aligned, and very fortunate to be sitting here. So we can move on to the next thing unless there's anything else.
No, I think they need to know the details.
I was willing to just we can move on. He put it down here, and I was going to skip, but I knew you.
So
he has a very attention to detail. I'm sure no one has noticed that either.
Those of you in the room who know my wife know she's a very committed social activist, and she's dedicated her career to changing the world as we know it. And she was online in a pool of friends. We were Facebook friends before I'd met her. And she made a comment about some issue that, imagine this, I didn't agree with.
I remember this specific issue. Anyways, we'll continue to talk.
So we had a little online conversation between us, and eventually it got around to, well, we need to talk about this face-to-face one day. And I actually invited her to meet me at the bar of a restaurant I've been involved with since it opened, Lachlan Table. And Chef Hal and Kara, my business partners, are sitting there. And what was supposed to be a 45-minute meet and greet, have a drink and move on, was a 3-hour conversation about a lot of interesting issues. And 3 months later, we actually went out on our first date. Took me that long to get up the nerve to ask her out, but the night before we were supposed to go out on what I thought would be our first date, I kind of got to thinking, you know, she's a little bit younger than you are, Floyd. You might want to ask her if this is supposed to be a date tomorrow night.
Oh my God, it was the sweetest thing,
So I
too.
invited her out for an ice cream. The night before, we were supposed to go on a date.
He knew exactly how to get to my heart.
So I could ask her while she was having chocolate ice cream, was tomorrow night going to be a date? And that first date lasted about 8 hours. It was wonderful.
It's beautiful. I know.
That's how we met,
And we've been on first dates ever since.
ever
It's been great.
since.
It is beautiful. He also came to the ice cream shop, and I know I'll move forward, but he came to the ice cream shop with a full suit and tie on. While I was sitting there, I was just like, are you at the right place? But anyways, it was really special. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it
I know, and I
was.
said, yeah, let's make it a date.
Let's make it a date.
Great. So you wanna talk about some travel?
Yeah.
Okay, so for folks that are getting to know, maybe you don't know this side, unless you've seen any of his posts, there's a couple of things on social media, if you're Facebook friends, there are a few things you may know about him. He loves to cook. He loves his Tennessee Titans. He loves his Nashville Predators. And he does love to travel. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of your favorite trips? I think we got a couple of minutes before we move on.
We have been
Because we really want to spend most of the time talking about your beautiful children that are present and also grandchildren. So,
We're going to get there.
okay. All right, just making sure.
So we've been very blessed in our lives, and we've traveled to many countries. And one time I had the privilege, I had worked with a client from Italy here in this country, and he invited us to come to Italy to see the country. And I'll tell you, if you ever want to go to a foreign country, if you know somebody that lives there, that was born and raised there, you get to see a different side. I'd been to Italy before we went, but I went to places I'd never been. I saw things I hadn't been. And I had a tour guide that I'd never had before. And we went from the industrial heartland of Italy all the way up to the Italian Riviera, to the coast where Portofino is, a beautiful village. And if you ever get a chance to go to Italy, make sure to spend at least one night in the fishing village of Portofino on the Italian Riviera. It is really a special place.
It really is. And we also did a lot of hiking, what's called the Cinque Terre, and it was before you got your knees replaced.
Yes.
So we did I don't think I told you how many stairs were supposed to be, because I was supposed to map this out. So that was my job that day, and there were a lot of stairs. on
My
one of
golf
those things.
partners would appreciate how much I was limping in those days.
I'm sure they did. So let's talk about, so I know there's
Before
other.
we get to my sons, there's another couple here tonight, the Fleischers, who we were privileged enough to go to the island of Fiji and to
New
North
Zealand.
New Zealand
Yeah.
with. And it was also a very, very special trip, and I love you guys. We had a great 3 weeks, and Fiji, if you ever, it's in the middle of nowhere. It takes forever to get to the island of Fiji. Go to the boys.
Yes, we will
She'll keep me
continue to
on
talk
script.
talk about that trip forever, which we're happy to do that. Wow, I get to talk about, I think, some of the incredible loves of your life, your children and grandchildren, and just open it up there. And if you'll wrap it up with us, to spend the time talking about your amazing
That'd be
family.
So I am a blessed grandfather of 5. I have 2 step-grandchildren who are now 20 and 16. They were 5 and 9. I was in my mid-50s when they moved in to my home for 2 years. And I had the privilege of raising children again. My biological children are here tonight, Matthew and Neil, who grew up here in Nashville and went to Harding Academy and then graduated from Hume Fogg. So like their father, they were public school students for a while. And they are young men who've made me exceptionally proud. They're both attorneys. Matthew, my older son, is 40 years old. It's amazing how you could say I have a 40-year-old son. Ted Maiden's here. We met Maiden's about 30 some odd years ago on the beach down in Destin, not knowing they were from Nashville. And I was playing catch with Matthew. I was down in a crouch with my catcher's mitt on. He was pitching to me, and Barbara's still talks about how I got up and down from a crouch in my 40s because I loved playing ball with my sons. I coached Matthew's Little League team. I coached Neil's soccer team when I still had the ability to use my legs and my knees at that time, the God-given knees. And they are both married, married to beautiful daughters-in-law. Matt's wife, Sarah, is also an attorney, does environmental law for the state of Utah. And Neil's wife, Lauren, is a social worker. Neil lives in Portland. They have 3 grandkids between them. Matt's 2, Sammy is 8, and Eve is 5. And Aviva just turned 1 year old very recently. So blessed to have 5 beautiful grandchildren, 2 wonderful sons, of whom, and 2 great daughters-in-law, of whom I'm very proud to call my family.
And I'll tell you what, Matt and Neil coordinated to surprise you to be here tonight, and so it was really difficult to kind of keep that from you, but it was really beautiful to see them walk through the door in the house today, just surprising Floyd, so it was really beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, I think we actually kept this on time. Yeah. Oh, well, we've got 1 minute. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I could share lots of stories. I loved playing ball as a kid growing up, and that's why I'm a Titan and Predator fan today. All I ever wanted to do was be an Olympic soccer player and represent the United States of America. Unfortunately, my knees didn't want to be Olympic soccer players, and I didn't make it quite that far, but sports taught me how to compete. And competition is what you do in business every day of your life. And I learned so many lessons as a boy growing up from being a competitive athlete. And when you play sports, you also learn very, very quickly that not everybody came from the same place you did. Not everybody talks the same language that you do. Not everybody looks the same as you do. And it was a great lesson in life as a boy to get to play with kids from every background and every possible place in the world. Chicago's an immigrant community. If anybody's ever lived or been there, it's not a melting pot, it's a quilt. And each community is a patch of that quilt. And the only time you cross those lines is when you play ball. And it teaches you how to do that.
I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And I think that's probably a really beautiful segue into the next space that we get to talk to you about. Thank you for letting me be a part of
Thanks,
this.
sweetie. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you. All right, so some great stories there, great way to start.
Yeah.
And so do you drive then on Interstate 65 like it's the Dan Ryan?
You know, late in life, I bought my first boy toy.
Uh-huh.
It's now 5.5 years old. It's a Porsche. And when you're on the interstate and you have 380 horses under the hood, there are times when you drive like you're on the Dan Ryan. That's all I can say.
So don't get behind me then, right?
Right. You don't want to be in front of me when you're on the interstate. That's right.
And then I guess at red lights, then the Chicago way is to stop in the middle of the intersection to make that left turn.
If there's a brake pedal,
If
yes.
there's a brake pedal. All right, so a great first segment. Right now, we're going to bring up Mark Russell. He is the owner of Enviroscapes, and I think it's probably the reason your properties always look so fantastic. So we're going to bring Mark up, and he's going to talk about Floyd's business life. All right, so time for segment 2.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Well, first off, Floyd, I want to say the phone call I received or a week or so ago, pretty humbling myself. I know we've known each other for 24 or 5 years. Very humbling. I don't have much else to say about that. So you started Smart Space 30 years ago, 10 office buildings, 2 retail, warehouse. on 60 some odd acres combined, employing at various times up to 2,500 individuals. How did you do that?
I don't know. You know, it just happened. The start of what most folks that are here tonight know about was when I acquired the Donaldson Hospital and converted it, repurposed the structure in 2 adjacent doctors' buildings and made it into Donaldson Corporate Center. And I had become acquainted with the Hermitage, Donaldson, Old Hickory areas when I worked for a bank. And I moved here. They put me at a property Marion Thurman was foreclosed on by the bank and had me finish it, called Colony Downs in Hermitage, and a bunch of people drive by it frequently that live out here. And it oriented me to this side of town. In my portfolio was a property on Donaldson Pike called Point Place, and I eventually sold it off. And when I left the bank in the first of '93, January '93, I always had my eye on Point Place. And that was the first property I bought when I started the company. I was doing consulting work for the first 3 years. I bought Point Place in '96. It was almost vacant. We filled it up, flipped it, made a lot of money on it, and put all that money, or tried to, into the old Donaldson Hospital. And HCA still owned the property at the time, and some of you in the room are old enough to remember who the councilman for Donaldson was at that time. He's dearly departed. I won't say his name, but we warmly referred to him as Spruce Bruce. He convinced HCA, when I approached them about buying the hospital, that I was wanting to turn it into a drug treatment center and they shouldn't sell it to me. True story. I'd never met the man. And of course, I didn't want to turn it into a drug treatment center, but HCA, I made him an offer of $4,350,000, which was $23 a building foot for everything. You know what you paid for your houses. That's a lot less than you paid for your houses a foot. And they wouldn't sell me the property. And I didn't understand why. The broker, he was on his own, one guy in his own company, and I couldn't understand, how did he get to represent HCA? Turned out his brother was the head golf pro at Belmead Country Club. Sure, that had just a little to do with how he got the representation to sell Donaldson Hospital. But eventually I figured out they're not going to sell it to me. For some reason, they don't like me. Maybe they don't like the fact I'm Jewish. I don't know what they didn't like about me. I never heard that. But I had a buddy that had worked with me in a bank in Texas who's still here today, Glenn Wilson. He had started a company, and I called him up one day and I said, "Wilson, how'd you like to make $100,000 today?" He said, "I'm up for that, Floyd. You never paid me that much when I worked for you at the bank." I said, "No, I didn't, Glenn. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to write a contract for $100,000 less than I'm willing to pay for the old Donaldson Hospital, $4,250,000. Fully assignable. I'll put up the earnest money for you. It'll have a due diligence provision. You won't be at risk. You can always cancel it. But you offer them $4,250,000, and I'll pay you $100,000 if they'll agree to sell it to you." They did. Signed a contract with them for $4,250,000. I paid my buddy Glenn Wilson $100,000 because the property was worth a lot more than that to me. And that's how I bought Donaldson Hospital.
Well, speaking of Donaldson Hospital, what makes you come to Donaldson, buy an abandoned hospital, and then figure out what to do with it?
You know, I love repurposing structure. I've done it all of my life. Lachlan Table is in a building that was built in the 1930s as a grocery store. That was a beauty salon. And then an art gallery when I bought it with Hal and Kara. And we had a vision for what it could look like. And with Donaldson Hospital, I had a vision of a place where 1,000 employees could make a good living working in this newfangled field called telecommunications. I knew that the main fiber trunk line that Bell South owned ran in a pipe underneath Lebanon Road. And I was going to make a telecommunications headquarters for companies that were just learning about telecommunications. And I knew I could be successful doing that. And that's why I bought Donaldson Hospital.
Well, Donaldson Hospital, as personal as it is to you, personal to me too, that was in 1990, you may have bought it in 97.
98, and then you came along in 99.
We met in 98, or
Yep.
into 98, 99.
Yep.
Happened to be, at that point, we were 4 years in business, and Barrowscapes was the largest commercial contract at that time that we had installed. So, thank you again. That relationship started into an additional job at Two Rivers Corporate Center, which led into me probably harassing, asking too many questions, bugging, how do you do this? With you and your former partner, Jay, who was, by the way, an unbelievable person in his own right, miss him. So maybe pestering Jay more than pestering you, but you let us get involved in, I think it was 3501,
3051,
which sets beside Donaldson Corporate Center, turned it into a Ghost Gym. Thank you. Sorry.
So when you asked me, you had asked, how do I do this? And you eventually turned to your lawyer and asked him, is this something I should do? What did he say to you?
Well, first, you asking a lot of questions. You handed us the book, made a couple comments to me. Once you invest this money, well, first, if you need this money in 6 months, don't invest it. You could lose this money, and then I would also like you, your lawyer, to take a look at this. So I did get a call back from my lawyer a couple of days later, and he had some interesting things to say to me. He said, hey, by the way, I don't write these books, but I have a friend that does. And he asked me, who is your brother-in-law? Because this group of investors don't let outsiders involved. So at that point, after that's 5 years into a relationship, I realized that not only was Floyd a customer, a partner, a mentor, but was turning into be a really good friend. And 24 years later, here we sit. So thank you again.
You're welcome. And the crazy thing to me was when I was young and doing deals at that time, I was in my 40s, anybody in the deal business, you always want to meet people who want to invest in your next deal. That's what you do. You know, we were joking at the table earlier, other people's money, that's how you make money. And of course you would want to meet people who would want to invest with you. It's how you grow a business from 0 to 750,000 square feet of buildings. And I was dumbfounded, but the law firm that did that offering memorandum wasn't given the opportunity to work with a broker who would charge 10% to raise the money for us. I actually went and met people and asked them to do something like that. The thought of paying somebody to raise money for us, our business never crossed my mind. And when you told me that story, light bulbs went on about why I never got those kind of investors. Because to me, it was a personal business. Business is about relationship. It's not about, making the quickest, fastest buck you can. And it was a funny story that you told me. I'd never known why. The law firms and the accounting firms I worked with never called and said, hey, we got this group of people like to invest money. They'd like to throw $10 million at you. Never happened. I guess they thought I didn't need the money.
Well, that leads us into, what philosophy has guided you to where you are today?
I was very blessed to have many mentors in the business. And buy low and hold was something somebody taught me very early on in the business, that if you buy a piece of property for $23 a building foot that cost $180 at the time a foot to build, and if you held it long enough, you were going to do okay. There's a guy named Warren Buffett has always believed in buy low and hold. And it was a simple philosophy. That's the investment side. The other side of business is the people side, and it's the relationship side. And from a philosophical standpoint, for us it was easy. Do what you say and say what you're going to do. Don't tell somebody you're going to do something and do something else. It's not the right thing to do. Do the right thing and it'll come back to you. And I have been blessed and many times over from that business philosophy. Do the right thing.
Pass it along to a few people too.
And I've been blessed to work with a couple people that have become very dear friends through the years, and it's been a great two-way street. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I doing okay on time? Okay. Tell me a little bit, or everybody, a little bit about 2620 Lebanon Road.
2620 Lebanon Pike. There's a picture up there of an old building with a going out of business sign. For those of you that were born and raised in the Donaldson Hermitage area, you might remember the Farrer Furniture Company. That building was built right before Donaldson Plaza was built. It sits in the Y intersection where Lebanon Pike and Old Lebanon Pike split. I was in the office one day and I got a call from a broker. He said, "Floyd, I got a property in Donaldson you need to look at." I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's the Johnson Furniture Building." I said, "How much you want?" He said, $850,000. I said, "It's not my price for that building, but I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks." And I gave him a number, and he said, "Well, I can't sell it for that." I said, "Well, thank you very much." And about 2 months later, I got a call. He said, "Floyd, you still got that price you offered me?" I said, "Yes, sir, that was my number, and I still have that number right here." And we bought the building without tenants. And originally, we were going to put an art gallery upstairs and another business downstairs that were community businesses. While we were in due diligence, it turned out they weren't quite ready to make a move. So we sat on the building. I must have turned down 50 vape stores and liquor stores and convenience stores that wanted to rent that property. And one day, a man named Austin Smith called me and said, "Floyd, I'd like to see that building. I've got this deal downtown. I'm doing hot chicken in Nashville. And I'm from Donaldson. I grew up there. I went to Donaldson Church of Christ. I want to see the building, and I want to put a party foul in your building." And I said, "Well, come on out. Let's talk about it, Austin." And he and his partner come out, and we talked about it, and we thought it was a pretty good idea. It would be a good idea for the community. And today, how many years later is it, Austin?
It's about 5. We're closing in on August 1st.
Very good. 5 years ago in August, that man and I opened the second party foul. And I think he'll tell you that something you all already know, it's a very successful business. And that's because it was the right business for the right location. And my partners and I are very happy that Austin Smith is there, and he's a great customer, and I think he's been a great addition to our community.
Floyd, thank you.
Thank you.
Love you. Love you too.
Thank you.
All right, if y'all will give Mark another hand for this segment. Again, great to hear the history, especially with the last story there. I think my wife and I was just at that party foul not too long ago for a reception for Cornerstone Credit Union that I'm the board of, and the food was good that night. So right now we're going to bring up a great duo. We've got Dana Davis affectionately
Number one.
known as
Number one.
Number One
Yeah. Number one.
by her Elevate family. Dana is with the Veterans Administration, has been a great friend of Floyd for many years. We're also going to bring up Randy Purcell, a local artist who has been a friend of Floyd. Give it up for Randy. And Randy is also a fellow Predators fan, all right?
We're crushing
So they are going to come up and discuss the very important topic of community and commitment with Floyd. So if y'all will, welcome Dana and Randy.
Wherever you like. Number one.
Number one gets the big chair.
I love you, baby.
Wow.
Wow.
This is such a great honor to be asked to come up here, especially with these two great individuals. I'm excited to be a part of this event with Floyd. I'm just honored to be his friend. We've known each other for probably 10 or 12 years now. Back when Johnson Furniture was actually still in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to start and talk a little bit about community. I'm going to ask a question, and Dana's going to ask a question, and then we'll jump back and forth. Let's start here. From immigrants escaping hatred and violent conflict to underserved children needing a better education to homeless families in need of housing, there's no shortage of ways to make a difference in the lives of others. So Floyd, what drives you to serve?
I thought a lot about this issue as after you and Deanne came to my office, Phil, and asked me to be honored this way. I really was blown away by being asked. And I thought about my grandparents. My grandmother, Minnie, one of my favorite memories, she drove a 1961 white Chevy Bel Air. She'd come out to the house and pick up my brother and I'd take us to Cub games. She was a tough old lady who loved baseball, and she taught me how to fill out a scorecard. Didn't know how to speak English when she came to this country. But in those days, there wasn't a lot of money to go around in our family, and her husband had passed away. And she lived in public housing. She lived in a senior housing project of the Chicago Housing Authority. And my dad's father lost his wife when she was in her 50s. She got early onset dementia. And he wouldn't leave his wife that he had made all the way from Ukraine to the United States. He wasn't going to leave his wife and put her in a home. There was a charitable home supported by an organization that I got involved in later in life called the United Jewish Communities, Jewish Federation. And he moved in when he was in his 50s with his wife. She passed a year later. He lived in that home till he was 78 when he passed away, taking care of the other people in that home. And he'd come weekends, spend the night with my brother and I. He was 5'1" tall. He didn't weigh 120 pounds. And he was the toughest bird you'd ever met in your life. And they taught me that but for the grace of God go you. And the people that live in public housing, the people that live in senior homes that are supported by charities, are not people that you don't like. They're not people that aren't like you and I. They are just like you and I. That's what motivates me.
Very moving.
Thank you so much for that, Floyd. From what I know about you and what I've seen, you are truly, truly a servant, and we appreciate that in you. So let's talk a little bit more about what I call heart work, which is what you're doing, heart, H-E-R-T work. Muhammad Ali said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth."
Amen.
Mahatma Gandhi said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others."
Amen.
Tom Brokaw said, "It's easy to make a buck. It's a lot tougher to make a difference." Tell us about one thing of the many millions of things that you've done to make a difference.
Thank you. When I was going through the process of buying Donaldson Hospital, my golf partner, who's here tonight, Wendell Sanders, said to me, "Floyd, do you know my friend Willie McDonald?" This was in 1998. I said, "No, Wendell, I don't believe I do." He said, "You need to meet my friend Willie McDonald." And Wendell and I come out here, and he carried me and Willie to lunch and introduced us. And Willie introduced me to the chamber, and I got involved in the chamber, started going to the monthly chamber lunches. This summer I bought Donaldson Hospital while we were taking the 12 months that it took to renovate it. And that November, Rudy Kadoof, who was the program chair and president-elect, asked me to put on a presentation about what in the world I was going to do with that Donaldson Hospital campus. And I came to that luncheon as part of doing community service and being involved in the Chamber of Commerce and helping other business people. And I put on a presentation. I had easels with posters. There wasn't digital presentations back in that day. And sitting in the room was one of the 5 CEOs of HCA's 5 Nashville hospitals, Brian Deering. And unbeknownst to me, Brian Deering went back to corporate and said, "You know, this shared service concept we're talking about with the 5 hospitals, moving all the employees out of hospitals that are in the business office and working remote from the hospitals, I got a great place for us to do that." And they scheduled a tour of the red brick doctor's building for that Christmas, right before Christmas. And at that tour, I leased back to HCA, who had bought the hospital for $4,350,000. I leased back enough space. They were going to pay me over 7 years over $5 million in rent. All because my friend Wendell introduced me to my friend Willie, who are here tonight. And by going to that chamber luncheon, I got asked to serve in the 2nd class of Leadership Donaldson Hermitage, which is what Elevate used to be called. And I thought wonderful things. I would go on to go through Leadership Nashville and Leadership Middle Tennessee and really enjoyed those experiences, but my heart was here. And there were things about that organization back then that I loved, and I stayed involved. And one day I sat down with the director, Deanne Bradford, and I said, "Deanne, this is a great organization, and I firmly believe in knitting together the fabric of our community. There's only one problem." And she said, "What's that, Floyd?" I said, "Everybody in the room looks just like me. But I study demographics, and I know the demographics in this community, and not everybody who lives here looks just like me, and they don't talk just like me, and they're not from the same place like I am, and they need to be a part of the leadership of this community. It's their community." And from that day forward, our class started to look different. And today we have an organization that represents the entire community, the way our school board leaders represent our community, the way our council people represent our community. And that's one way you make a difference, is by noticing that not everybody needs to look like you.
Thank you so much, and I gladly give you the title of number one for tonight.
No, I'll never be number one.
Can there be
Not
two
in your
number ones?
presence.
Well, speaking of organizations and community, I'm going to read a list of community service activities that you've been involved with during your life. Y'all bear with me. This is a long list. Let's see. It's only 6 pages. Okay. No. Okay. We'll start with Elevate, which was then Donaldson Hermitage, Leadership Donaldson Hermitage, class of 2000, board chair in 2010. Leadership Nashville, class of 2003. Leadership Middle Tennessee, class of 2008. Board of Directors, 2010 through 2016. Executive Board of Directors, Middle Tennessee Council, Boy Scouts of America, 2004 through 2014. Board of Directors of the Donaldson Hermitage Chamber of Commerce, 2002 through 2011. Woodbine Community Organization Board of Directors, 2009 through 2022. Lipscomb University Graduate School of Business Board of Visitors, 2010 through 22. Businessman of the Year in Donaldson Hermitage, just 1 year? Come on. 2002. The Keaton Theater for the Arts Board Chair, 2008 and 2009. Past President and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Jewish Federation of Nashville, Tennessee, an umbrella fundraising agency for Jewish social service charities, 2002 through 2004. Board of Trust Executive Committee, 2003 through 2006. That's of the Jewish communities, one of the 10 largest charitable organizations in North America. Wow. A voice of the Reduction of Poverty in Nashville Steering Committee, 2014 to 2021. The Nashville For All of Us, the Steering Committee of Defeat English Only. And HIP Donaldson Board of Directors, 2015 through 21. We got more. One more. Gateway Donaldson Community Beautification Board of Directors, 2014 through 21. That's a long list. How and why did you make time for all these activities while building and running a business and raising a family?
Well, it's been said many times in many different ways that for all you give, you receive back. And I have received back from each of those organizations and each of the communities that I've been privileged to be a part of far more than I ever gave. And it's when you realize life is not about what you receive, but what you give, you'll have a rich and happy life. And that's how I could make the time. And my sons made the sacrifice of seeing Dad out 4 nights a week at meetings, and they turned out to be okay.
Not too shabby. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Floyd. One other question, but I will say this. You've encouraged and inspired so many people, countless people. I've seen you move through Elevate, through the community, and you've taken the time to have personal connections with people. And we know connection drives. So thank you for that. So one question I do want to ask you, can you tell us about the fabric of the community?
Sure. You know, I'm in the real estate business, and I studied my business before I got into it. It's my 3rd career. You don't have to tell me anything 4 times. I get it right the 3rd time every time. Isn't that right, Brenda? And honestly, when you study communities, you know that communities have cycles. They rise and they fall. And there's something called concentric rings of development. You have a city center, and there are rings of development. As the city in the core gets older, people move out to the first ring around it. And as that gets older, they move to the second ring, and there's a downtown Nashville and a 12 South or Germantown neighborhood, and then there's a Donaldson, a Madison, a Belmead, second ring communities, and then third ring communities, Bellevue and Hermitage, and these rings keep going, and now Mount Juliet and north of Goodletts, White Bluff is now part of the metro area. Columbia is part of the metro area. Concentric rings of development. And as a ring ages and people leave, the fabric of a community is torn. Buildings get abandoned. You see empty storefronts. You wonder why. Because the fabric of the community is being torn by those that leave. And what I learned about my business and about life and about investing into a community instead of extracting wealth from a community was that to make investing in places that weren't popular successful, you had to help knit back that torn fabric in the community. And what Elevate does so well, what the Chamber of Commerce does so well, what organizations that are part of this community do so well, is they knit together the fabric of the community. And by you all volunteering with those organizations, you've now created Hip Donaldson. It's all your fault. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Floyd. Those were all the questions that we have, but I want to take the time to personally say thank you. I remember meeting you shortly after 2014. We attended the same gym. I think it was Planet Fitness.
Goals,
yes,
one of those. Yeah.
I remember us going in after work around 4 o'clock, and I'm looking at you, you looking at me. I'm like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So we just do a little something.
We did it together.
And we went on home.
We got sweaty together.
Exactly. So I do want to.
She was single then.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for your connection and for always being so nice to me. We were on committees together, and I just appreciate you being genuine and making the connection and knitting that fabric. So I just want to say thank you for all that you have done.
Thank you, Dave.
And I'm going to say real quick, Floyd is one of the leaders of our community that I've always admired and looked up to, and part of the reason I stay connected in the organizations that I'm part of. You don't get a better role model than this man right here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you, baby. Love you too. Thank you, sweetie. I love you.
Joe, we'll thank Randy and Dana once again.
She's number one.
And number one. All right. Before, I'm going to see if you've got any parting words here before we bring Kayla back up. But I do want to recognize Judge Sheila Calloway, who has been
Where is
able to
she?
make it in.
Where's Sheila?
Actually, there she is right there. All right.
Love you, girl.
Ask nicely, and after the auction, she may sing I Will Survive for you. All right. All right, but this has been great for us to be able to learn and get to know you. Again, I am honored that you asked me to be a part of this. Not only does he watch, but there's a Chicago connection because I was born in Chicago and spent the first 5 years of my life there. Yeah, that's where I was born. Yeah, I thought there was a Chicago. I thought it was part of the reason. But no, Mama and Daddy, they were high school sweethearts, and then when the love died, Daddy stayed in Chicago, Mama came back home to Tennessee and everything. But that's our Chicago connection. But before we wrap up, are there any parting words you would like to say to the crowd and everybody?
Just that I'm incredibly humbled by being honored, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here to share this evening with me. Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring back up the Elevate Executive Director, Kayla, to make a couple of final remarks. And she is right here.
Am I off now?
No, you stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, hasn't this been interesting? I knew there were going to be surprises. I just didn't know what I was going to learn, so thank you for that. So I hope you've enjoyed the stories. And Floyd, I hope you've enjoyed this time as much as we have. Our organization and community is honored anytime that you are with us. So thank you so very much for sharing your life with us. Different ones have had the opportunity to share just a little tidbit, and I have the microphone, so I get to tell you a little tidbit for me. Dana mentioned she met you at the gym. I did not meet you at the gym,
Nope.
but we met in 2016, and I graduated with Elevate in the class of 2015. We all have our class years, and part of our mission in our organization is once you go through, you're not done. Like, what do you do next? And we serve on a variety of teams. And so I had the privilege of being on the selection team in 2016, and you were in that room to greet me and leading that team. And you taught this young kid at that time, what does it mean to be a part of Elevate, and what does it mean to give back? And we hadn't looked back. So thank you for your friendship. I am grateful for that. So thank you. And we have something very special to give you this evening. And we want to honor you as our 2023 In My Life recipient. Ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Shechter.
Thank you all so much for being here. You can sit down if you like. You might be more comfortable. I'm not going to talk very long, but I want to let you know how much I appreciate everyone's attendance. Floyd is a very special person in my life and in our organization's life, and those of you who are part of our Elevate family know that. So we are blessed to be able to honor him tonight, and he is such a good friend to me, and we have such a strong connection, and I don't know where I would be. I would not be still here doing this if he was not my friend. I will just tell you that. So he is a blessing to me and to our community. And I know you're thinking about retiring, but you can't get away from me. And Floyd, I also have something else for you. This was Linda McCullough and James McCullough's idea, and they created the poster, and we put it in a frame tonight when they got here, and I just wanted to give it to you. Linwood Hawkins did design this for us, and they printed it. And so I just wanted to give it to you and share it with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. And now it's time to raise a little money. That's why I'm here. Raise a little money for this organization. Whoever's going to take it up from here, come on.
All right. I want to, before Leland leaves, I want to get a picture with you, so don't go too far.
Yes. Okay. So, and you don't go very far either, because we've got the fun stuff. If this hasn't been fun already, we are going to raise a little money. We have amazing
Thank you so much.
auction items for you that we're going to transition to in just a moment. And so, Leland, sir, I'm going to turn the floor back over to you to kick us off into this next segment. Mm-hmm. Before I do, thank you for being a part of our evening. You get up a little earlier than I do in the morning, I think, and you got up early this morning, so I hope you're able to sleep well tonight. But thank you for being a part of our community this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Floor's yours.
Yes. Yeah, definitely great to be here. And I have a 2 a.m. wake-up call. Yeah, so I get up. If it's a normal deal with team weather, I'm up at 3 o'clock. But with Nikki D now on maternity leave, I am up at 2 a.m. And so if you see little bags under the eye, you know why. But I was able to go home and nap this afternoon. So I'll get another short nap tonight and then wake up. But before we get ready for the auction, I just want to remind you all that Elevate is a small nonprofit, and in Floyd's words, rising tides raise all boats. And the work of Elevate does, and the work that Elevate does in creating human capital for the community is imperative to that end. So, of course, we would like for you to make a donation to Elevate. So what you can do is do it from your phone or do it from home. Go to the website of Elevate and make a donation there. We want to thank all of you all for a wonderful evening. The Board of Elevate thanks all of you all for coming out, and thanks you so much for the great support that you have given the organization, but to Floyd, Floyd's wife, and Floyd's family and everybody, and parents-in-law as well. So I don't know what you all think about tonight, but we've got more on the way. We've got the auction that's going to come up here in just a second. I thank all of you all for inviting me to be a part of this fantastic evening. And so before I turn it over, we've got Randy England, who is going to do the auction for us tonight. Give Randy a big hand. So while Randy is doing the auction, I'm going to take a couple of pictures, and then my wife and I are going to slide out for night time, all right? I will see you all dark and early tomorrow morning, and just for you, a special early Good Friday morning, all right? So God bless everybody. Randy, it's all yours. The other Randy, all right.
Well, good evening, everyone. Y'all can do better than that. Good evening. All right, we ready to have a good time? Ready to spend a little money? Let's try that again. Ready to spend a little money and have a good time? All right, y'all doing pretty good. Hey, I'm Randy England, and I live in McMinnville, Tennessee. And, I know a lot of people here, and so I was able to drive down. I was a little late tonight. I teach school, and I teach at a college, and we had graduation tonight. And I ran out of graduation and tried to hit Interstate 40, and around about an hour and 45-minute drive. So I was letting the hammer down, trying to get here. We've got some auction items tonight. We've got some nice paintings. Phil Ponder is one of my dearest friends. Is he around here somewhere? There's Phil. He's one of my dearest friends. Yeah. I see Mr. Wayne Tucker's over there. He's one of my good friends as well. And so glad to be here tonight. If you ever need an auctioneer, give me a call. I'm waiting on her to give me the cue. You ready to go? All right, come on, Randy. Come on up here, and he's going to tell us what we're going to do. That ain't on. I don't know how to.
It's not on. Is it on now? Can you hear me? Oh. There it is. We got a green light.
There we go.
All right, so we got 4 pieces of artwork. Last year we had actually the same 4 artists. I'm fortunate enough to be one of those. But that's not all. We got some surprises after the artwork.
After the artwork, yeah.
So we're going to do the artwork first.
Yep.
I'll bring up the artwork and
that's fine. Whichever one you want to do first.
We're going to start with Peach McCombs, and the title of this one is Music City Storm.
Yeah. Are they here? She here?
She is not.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Peach and James could not be here with us tonight, so we're going to share their beautiful artwork.
All right. Very good.
Hopefully raise some good money.
All right, folks, here we go. Just hold your hand up, and I'll tell you when to put it down. So there you go. All right, here we go. This beautiful artwork right here. All right, now it'll be for him right there. Who'll give $500 for they go? Who'll give $500 now, but a $500? Who'll give $500 now, but a $500? But a $500, but a $500, but a $500? Who'll give $500? Who'll give $300 and $3 now, but $300 now, $300 now, $300 now, $300 now, $300? Give me $3 now, $3. It's not where we start, it's where we end, okay? All right, who'll give $200 in? Who'll give $2 now, but $200? Thank you, now, 2 1/4. At $200 now, 2 1/4. 2 now, 2 1/4. 2 now, 2 1/4. 2 1/4 now, 2 1/4. 200, 2 1/4. 2 now, 2 1/4. 2 1/4. 2 1/4 now, 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. Half. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. 2 1/2. 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. That's you. 2 1/4. Now 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. 2 1/2. Now 275. 275. Now 300. 300. Give me 3 now, 3. 300 now, 3. Get you a drink. Now 300. At 375 now 300. At 275 give me 3. 300 now 3 now 3 give me 300. 300 sir I believe would. 300 give me 3 now 3. 300 now 3 give me 300. Got 275 by 3. 300. 300 where at? Right here. 300. Thank you. And now give me 3 1/4. Do that. 3 1/4. Now 3 1/2. Stay with me. Stay with me. 3 1/2. Now 375. Now 400. I just started too cheap. 400. 400. 400. 425. Never thought of that. How about 450 then? 425, 450, 4 1/4, 4 1/2. Now 475. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 4. Look here. 475. 475. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 475. I believe it would. 4 1/2 to 475. 4 1/2 to 475. Anybody else? 4.5, 475 once, twice. Anybody else? And I have sold it. That lady right back there, $450. Hold your hand up. Right there. See her?
Awesome. Yep. I got
All right,
it.
somebody take it to her, or we'll come get her later or something.
We'll bring it to you after the rest of the auction. If
All right,
that's
Randy.
Okay. So we can move to the next one. And this one is mine.
All righty, tell us about it.
So I'm going to let you hold that,
Sure.
Randy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Randy. This painting I did specifically because several years ago I did one of some buildings here in Nashville, and Floyd saw it on social media and he purchased it from me. And so when I was asked to do a painting for this tonight, I wanted to do something similar because I think about Floyd's business and the architecture involved, and also I'm going to read this real quick. Built on Community, that's the title. This painting doesn't represent any specific landmark in our neighborhood, rather it represents the community, and I wanted to create something that told a story about the importance of community. It's a beautiful day, the sky is blue, the windows reflect the stairs, which are used as a tool to help us rise up, or they can bring us down. The bricks are many, layers upon layers. Some carry more weight than others, but all are necessary. This building reflects our community. The future is bright, the sky is blue, our leaders carry the weight. We make use of the tools we are given, and together we are strong.
That's beautiful right there.
Thank you.
All right. All right, as we're walking around with you, beautiful piece right here. All right, now it'll be it for him. He'll give 500 to go. 500. Thank you. Now 600. At 500 now, but 500 now, but 600, 5 to 6. At 500 now, but 500 now, 600, but 5 to 6. Hey, but 5 to 600, 5 6, but 5 to 6. At 5, how about 5 1/4? I'll do that. 500, but 5 1/4, 500 now, but 5 1/4, but 5 1/4, but 5 1/4. Thank you. Now 5 1/2. 5 1/2. Now 575. At 575. Now 600. Now 6 1/4. 600. Now 6 1/4. 6. I got you 600. 6 1/4. 6 1/4. Now 6 1/2. At 6 1/4. 6 1/2. 6 1/4. 6 1/2. Now did you say 6 1/2? Now 675. Now 700. 700. 700. Now 7 1/4. Now 7 1/2. 7 1/2. Give me 7 1/2. I believe it would. 7 1/2 quarter. Now 7 1/2. 7 1/4. Now 7 1/2. 7 1/2. 7 1/4. Now 7 1/2. I know you're in real estate, and believe it or not, I am too. 7 1/4, 7 1/2. Bid, 7 1/4, 7 1/2. You know how it is. We pressure. 7 1/4, 7 1/2. 7 1/2. Thank you. Now 775. 7 1/2. Now 775. Are you the one with the restaurant? You look pretty in your restaurant. 7 1/2 and 775. 7 1/2 and 775. 775. Now 800. That's 775 to 800. Give me 800. Now give me 800. That's 775 to 800. Now 800. That's 775 to 800. 800. Now 8 1/4. 800 now 8 1/4. 800 now 8 1/4. 8 1/4. 800 now 8 1/4. 800 now 8 1/4. Now 8 1/2. 8 1/4 now 8 1/2. Half 8 1/4 now 8 1/2. 8 1/4 now 8 1/2. 8 1/4. 8 1/2. There's no friends in auction. 8 1/4, 8 1/2. That's right. 8 1/4, 8 1/2. What do you say? 8 1/4, 8 1/2. Going once, going twice, and I believe you're going to get to sit in a restaurant. 8 1/4, right back there. Hey, Randy, does that mean when you go in there you get free coffee?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All righty. Tell us about this one.
Okay. I think we're all familiar with James Thrillkill as much as we are Phil Ponder. James Thrillkill couldn't be with us tonight. Him and Peach both are actually at an event tonight on the other side of town in West End. So James Thrillkill does these amazing, really thick palette knife paintings. This is an acrylic one. And I wrote the title. It is a reflective mood.
This is my beautiful wife. She helps me in the auction business and
Awesome.
what have you. So, yeah, walk around there and do your thing or whatever you do.
Vanna White.
Vanna White, there you go. All right, beautiful painting. Once again, he'll give 500 to go. He'll give 500 now, but 500 now, but 5. Give me the 5, 5, 1, but 5, give me the 500, give me the 5, but 500. He'll give 5, 5, 1, but 5, but 5, 5, 1, but 5, but 5. How about 300? Start it there then. 3, give me 3, now 3, 300 now, 3, now 3, give me 300 now 3, 300 now, but 4. At 300 but 4, 300 but 4 now 300 now, but 4. How about 3 1/2 in? 300, 3 1/2. Add 300, 3 1/2, 300, 3 1/2, 300, 3 1/2. I'll do 3 1/4. 300, 3 1/4, quarter, 3 now 3 1/4, now 3 1/4. 300, 3 1/4, 3 now 3 1/4. Anybody else? 300, 3 1/4, 3 1/4. 300 now 3 1/4, 300, 3 1/4. 300, 3 1/4. Anybody else? 300, 3 1/4. Going once, because I'm going to sell it because we got a lot to go. 300, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 300, 3 1/4. Listen, you have to hold your hand up. 300, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4. Sold it right here, $300. This lady right here, $300.
Wow.
Phil, you want to come tell me about your picture real quick? We'll let you tell about it.
I'll hand you the mic, and then I'll carry your painting. How about that?
That's great. Thank you, Randy, for the help. Hey, tonight I saw Bill and Follett, and I said, you know what? You're responsible for this picture tonight, because when I went to the beer festival last year, I saw this scene that incorporated not only the fall foliage, but the Two Rivers Mansion and the 1802 house in the distance. So this is a new perspective for me. Usually I'm doing it just face forward, but this was very appealing to me. I took the photograph, and this is what I used the photograph to make this picture. Randy called me just a short time ago, and he says, we're going to do this auction tonight. Can you get something? So I said, I got to get through this one project first, but we'll do it. So we just finished this the other day, and it's been nicely framed by a picture of this gallery. Just did a great job on all the mats and everything with it. This could actually be subtitled A Study in Italianic Architecture. If you look at the detail on this, you will see that there is just minute detail on the, what I call Rococo, all the jazzy little things that are on this building. It is unbelievable. And by the way, if you know what a corbel is, that's the little structure that's right underneath the eaves. I've got one of the originals from this home. So 1859 when it was built. They auctioned them off when they took them down and replaced them. And I got one of the ones that was in really good shape. It has 22 layers of paint on it. So that tells you that they fixed it up, the mansion up a lot of times. But anyway, this is a great history item and a great opportunity to own something that's right here in just up the road. So please bid high, and you will get a absolutely wonderful scene from right here in River City. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, I have done an auction in that building 2 or 3 times, haven't we, Neva? We've been there several times doing an auction there. It's a beautiful place. Everybody in Nashville's probably been there or had dinner there or some kind of event, but I love going there. All right, here we go, folks. Phil Ponder, one of my dearest friends. I've known Phil for a long time. All right, here we go. Who give $1,000 for it? Let's start it there. Who give $1,000? Give me $1,000 now for $1,000. Who give $1,000 now for $1,000? Who give $1,000? Who give $1,000 now for $1,000? Or give me $1,000 now for $1,000. How about $500? Let's just start there. Who give $5? Thank you. Now $5. Now $600. Hey, but divide, but divide. Now $600. But divide. $600 now but $7. That's $600 now but $7. $600 now but $7. Now but $7. Now but $7. Now but $7. That's $600 now but $7. Now but $7. Now but $7. Now but $7. Now but $700. That's $600 now but $7. $600 now but $7. $600 now but $7. $700 now but $7. How about 6.5? I'll do that. 600. 6.5. Now 700. 6.5. 700 now 7.5. That's 700, 7.5. I have 700 now 7.5. I have 700 now 7.5. 700 now 7.5. I have 7.5 now $800. 7.5 but give me 800 now 800 now 800. That's 7.5 but 800. Give me 800 now 800 now 800. I believe I would. 800. That's 7.5 but 800. 7.5 but 800 now 800. 7.5 but 800. 800 now 800 now 800 now 8.5. 800 now 8.5. I have 800 now 8.5. 800 now 8.5. 800 8.5. How about 8 1/4? 8 1/4. 8 1/4. Now 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. Yes, you will. 8 1/4. 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. You come off away. You're gonna go home and say, I wish I'd have bought that. 8 1/4. 8.5. 8 1/4. 8.5. Anybody else? 8 1/4. 8.5. And I got a new dog running. Now 8.75. 8.5 but 8.75. 8.5 but 8.75. 8.5. Wipe that sweat off. Keep going. 8.5, 8.75. 8.5 but 8.75. 8.5, 8.75. 8.75. One of a kind. 8.5, 8.75 but 8.75. 8.75. I thought you would. Now, would you make it 900? 900. Now 9 1/4. 900 now 9 1/4. 900 now 9 1/4. 9 1/4. 900 9 1/4. Just because you sit in the same 9 1/4. Now 9.5, sir. 9 1/4. 9.5. I'm so close to $1,000 I can taste it. 9.5. Would you make it $1,000? I'm like $1,000. Thank you. Now $1,100. $1,000. Now $1,100. Now $1,100. $1,100. $1,000 now $1,100. $1,000 now $1,100. You want back in, sir? $1,000 now $1,100. $1,000 now $1,100. $1,100. $1,000. You need to touch it. $1,000, 1,100. How about 1,050? I'll do that. 1,050. You need to touch it, smell it, whatever we need to do. We'll get it over to you. 1,050. 1,050. Anybody else? $1,000. 1,050 going once, going twice. And I have sold it right back there for a $1,000 bill. Thank you, sir. Now we got some bonus stuff here. Yeah, we got something here. I'm going to let Randy tell you about them. We got bonus items. Mr. Randy will tell us about it. Too many Randys in here, aren't there?
Yeah, I know. Do you need to tell about it? We'll let you.
Okay, so this is a framed picture of Derrick Henry when he was at Alabama. And if you're an Alabama fan, this is a treasure, and there's a certificate of authenticity about the signature on the back. So that is what that is.
Folks, if you're an Alabama fan, here you go. All right, folks, here we go. I have sold many of signed photos from country music stars. I've worked with a whole bunch of them. I could sit here and start naming them off, you know, but I've had a good time. Got to go on their tour buses and things and had a good time. Sold a lot of sports memorabilia. It goes all over the map. So here we go. Who'll give 500 to go? 5, 5, 1, 500. Give me the 5, apple to 5, give me 500, apple to 5, give me 500. Who'll give 500, apple to 5, apple to 5? How about 200? Start it there. 200, apple to 2, 200, apple to 2, 200 now 2. Now give me 200. Who'll give 200 now 2 1/4. That 200 now 2 1/4. Do now 2 1/4 now 2 1/4 now 2 1/4. 200 now 2 1/4. Do now 2 1/4. Quarter 2 1/4 now 2 1/4. 200 now 2 1/4. Do now 2 1/4 now 2 1/4. 200 now 2 1/4. 200 now 2 1/4. Anybody else? 200 now 2 1/4 now 2 1/4. 200 2 1/4. 200 2 1/4. Folks, we ain't got no Bama fans. 200 now 2 1/4. 200 now 2 1/4. 200 2 1/4 now 2 1/4. Anybody else? 200 220. 2 1/4. Thank you. Now 2 1/2. Stay with me. 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. Half. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. Half. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. I believe I would. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. Half. 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. 2 1/4. 2 1/2. Anybody else? They can be. 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 1/4 now 2 1/2. 2 1/2, 2 1/2. And I have sold it right there, $225. That gentleman standing up right there, $225. Uh-oh. It's hockey time. Oh, my goodness. Go ahead.
So we talked about relationships and community, and part of the reason we got these items donated was because of Floyd's relationship with people in our community. Deanne was able to pull some favors to help us raise some money tonight. So keep that in mind when you're bidding on these. These are pretty awesome items. We got 2 more after this one, too.
This is
so
cool. I'm a hockey fan. I love the Predators.
Oh, yeah. This stick is signed by the whole team. I don't know, did you? Pecky is on there? Okay.
Pecorini's on here.
The man himself.
Here, I'm going to let you hold it.
Okay.
I'm liable to want to hit somebody with it. All right. Here we go, folks. Hockey stick right here. Nice. You talking about a nice piece right there. All right, here we go. Who'll give 300 to get her started? Who'll give 300 now, but 300 now, but 4. At 300 now, but 4. 400 now, but 5. 4 now, but 5. 4 now, but 5. 4 now, but 5. 4 now, but 500. At 400 now, but 500 now, $600. At 500 now, but 6. But 500 now, but 6. But 500 now, but 600. 5 6. At 5 600. But 5 but 600. But 5 now 6. But 6. But 600. At but 5 but 6. Jump back in, sir. 5 but 600. At 5 $600. 5 but 6. But 5 now 6. 5 but 6. But 500 now, but 5 but 6. At 500 now, but 6. But 5 6. 5 6. I'll take 5 1/2 if it'll hit you. 500 but 5 1/2. But 500 now, but 5 1/2. But 500 now, but 5 1/2. 500, 5 1/2. Now $600. 5 1/2 but 6. 5 1/2 but 600. Go back in 600. At 5 1/2 but 600. 5 1/2 now but 600. 600 now but 6. At 5 1/2 but 600. 5 1/2. Jump back in 600. 5 1/2 but 600. 5 1/2 but 6. Jump back in 600. 5 1/2 but that was the wrong answer. 5 1/2 but 600. 5 1/2 but 600. 5 1/2 but 6. 6. What'd you do? 575. I never thought of that. 5 1/2 but 575. 5 1/2 but 575. 5 1/2 but 575. 5 1/2 but 575. 5 1/2. 575. Anybody else? 5 1/2. 575. 575. Well, I believe you're going to be able to see it anyway. 5 1/2 but 575. Sold it right over here to him or to you. Well, it's all the same boat, you know. Same restaurant. Oh my goodness! Here comes the Titans football.
by Derek Henry.
Oh, no, Derek Henry.
I have a certificate of authenticity from the Titans.
All righty. There you go. You know, these players, and that, I'd rather you didn't, but anyway. I always think it's strange. Can you really make out who that is? You know, they were all right.
That's why they give the certificate.
That's all right. That's right.
That's why you look it up online.
That's right. Okay, here we go. All right, now that'll be it for 'em right there. Titans football. All right, now that'll be it for 'em right there. Who'll give 300? Start this. And who'll give 3 now, 3 now, 3, 300 now, 3 now, 3, 300 now, 3 now, 3, give 300 now, 300. Who'll give 300 now, 3, 3 now, 3 now, 300, 300 now, 3 now, 300, give 3 now, 300, give me 200. Who'll give $200? 200 now, 2, 2 now, 200 now, 3. At 200 now, 3, 2 now, 300, 2 now, 3, 3 now, 2 now, 300 now, 4. At 300 400, 3 now, 4 now, 4, 3 now, 4 now, how about 3.5? 300, 3.5, 300, 3.5. 3.5. Now 400. 3.5 but a 4, 4. Now but a 400. Now but a 400. Now but a 400. 400. Now 4.5. 400. Now but a 1.5. 4 now but a 1.5. 400. Don't let this lady they call number 1 out, bid you. 400 now but a 4.5. 400 now. I don't even know her. 400 now but a 4.5. 400 now 4.5. 4.5 but a 4.5. See, she could be number 2 here in just a minute. 400 now 4.5. At 4 now but a 4.5. She'll get me later. 400, 4.5, 4 now but a 4.5. 4 now. How about 4 1/4? 400 now 4 1/4. Now 4 1/4. 4 now 4 1/4. 4 1/4. See, I don't live here. I can get away. 400, 4 1/4. Sold it, $400. The one they call number 1. You ready for this one?
Yeah. Yeah. Here, let Randy get it out.
Okay, I am. I'll let you get this one out.
Oh, let me get that certificate. Okay. We still got Preds fans in the house?
Preds fans in the house. Any Predators fans? Only 3. Let's try it again. Any Preds fans?
This jersey belongs to the captain. Oh, there's our first bid. Oh, it's a 52. It would fit me. Actually, I have one just like it.
Here, open it up.
It's not just a.
Here.
It's not just a jersey.
Oh, he signed it too. Right?
It's autographed by the captain on his number. That's a
white
prize.
Sharpie.
Yeah, the silver shop. Yeah,
Silver. Thank you.
yeah. It costs more for silver.
I got you. All righty, folks. Well,
Oh,
yes, ma'am.
and get a certificate to go to Picture This. Yeah, if you want to get framed, get 15% off. They do a great job on jerseys, by the way. You can put it in a glass
Be nice
box.
in your restaurant. Be nice in your business. So there you go. All righty. Here we go, folks. If we got any Predators fans, here we go. Let's just let everybody in. Who started at 200? Let's go from there. Who get 200 now, 2, 200 now, 3. At 200 now, 3. Turn out 3, 3 now, 3. 200 now, 3, 200 now, 3. Give me 2.5, man. 200 now, 2.5. Half, turn out 2.5. Half, turn out 2.5. Turn out 2.5. At 200 now, 2.5. 2.5 now, 300. At 200 now, 3. 2 now, 3 now, 3. 3 now, 3 now, 300 now, 300. 300 now, 3.5. 300, 3.5. 300, 3.5. 300, 3.5. 300 now, 3.5. Half, turn out 3.5. Half, 300, 3.5. 300 now, 3.5. Half, turn out 3.5. Half, 300 now, 3.5. Now 400. At 3.5 to 4. 4 now, 4 now, 4. 4 now, 4 now, 400. 3.5 to 400. 3 now, 400. 4 now, 4 now, 400. You trying to zero in on me, honey. 400. Come on. 3.5. 400. How about 375? 375. Now 400, sir. 400. Now 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Stay with me. 4 1/4. 400. Now 4 1/4. Now 4 1/4. 4 now 4 1/4. 4 now 4 1/4. Now 4 1/4. If I come down there and hugged on you or, kissed you on the jaw or something, would you bid 4 1/4? 400, 4 1/4, 4 now 4 1/4, 4 1/4, now 4 1/2. All you got to do is ask. 4 1/2, 4 1/2, sir. 4 1/4, 4 1/2. I'll come eat at your restaurant sometime. 4 1/4, 4 1/2. 4 1/4, 4 1/2, half, 4 1/4, now 4 1/2. Anybody else? 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 1/4, now 4 1/2. 4 1/4, 4 1/2. Anywhere else? And I have. Make sure I ain't missing nobody. 4 1/4, 4 1/2. Sold it right over there, $425, and she's excited, and I am too. Is that it? Huh? All right. Hey, listen, I appreciate getting an opportunity. I was here last year. I appreciate the opportunity to get asked to come. Hopefully we'll get to do this again next year. Me and my wife, like I say, we live in McMinnville. I'm a county commissioner. I'm also a realtor and auctioneer, and I work for the Tennessee College of Applied Technology. I teach the machine tooling program there, and so I have a lot of students, and That's where we've been this evening. So we've been hustling around, and we got to hustle back to McMinnville tonight. God bless all of you. If I can ever help you, let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Randy. Wonderful job. And we got some winners that are walking out of here tonight, so I hope you enjoy your items. So it's time to wrap up. I want to walk through just a couple of closing comments because we have some folks to thank that make an evening like this possible. So if you will listen with me for a moment, we want to honor some folks. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors this evening, and those include Wilson Bank and Trust. You are our platinum sponsor tonight. B&A was a gold sponsor. HJL Properties, a gold sponsor. The Law Office of Jennifer McCoy, a gold sponsor. All of our table hosts. Victor Wynn and his staff for the Temple Church for capturing this event tonight on video. We thank you for that. Steve Smart, we thank you for all of the wonderful photography that you provided for us this evening. And then just in addition, internally within our organization, we can't do events like this without a lot of people coming together to make those possible. Our events team was so wonderful in greeting us tonight, and a lot of work behind the scenes to get us here tonight. James and Linda McCullough, you were so gracious in the printed materials and donating those for us. Thank you so very much for that. Rain Jones and Dana Gettner were the hands and feet of Deanne for those last minute things that have to take place before an event can occur. And then certainly, Brenda, we want to thank you, and Floyd, we want to thank him as well for just helping us, providing those little details for what we wanted to know and learn about just a wonderful and amazing life. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate it so much. And we, from our Elevate family, thank you for being a part of our community. Safe travels this evening, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night. If you did purchase an auction item, if you will see Deanne here at the front of the room, she'll make sure that you get those items.